WKYT podcast, this is Uniquely Kentucky. I'm your host, Amber Philpott.
Hello, podcast listeners. I hope this week's episode finds you healthy and well. The last 15 days or so here in Kentucky have been unprecedented, scary, and uncertain, and we know that. While Uniquely Kentucky is usually meant to give you a break from the hustle and bustle of the world around us, this week it seemed like maybe we should do something a little different. So I thought I'd bring in my partner in crime every night here at WKYT, Mr. Sam Dick, to just talk about the headlines we've been seeing and to give you a behind-the-scenes perspective on what we've been doing here at WKYT to not only keep our viewers informed, but also our staff safe and healthy while on the job.
Uniquely Kentucky with Amber Philpott is brought to you by the WKYT News and Weather apps, available on the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, Sam.
Hello, Amber.
So we have appropriately social distanced ourselves here in the podcast room, and we've left our door open so that any germs can fly out the door, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was appropriate. We have been through a lot together on the news desk, and the last 15 days have been quite the ride for sure. It's been unlike anything I think both of us have probably ever seen, right?
Oh, I've been doing this for broadcasting for 43 years, and I don't want to compare it to these two things, but because it's a lot different in some ways. But 9/11 and then the plane crash, 5191, those are really tragic, horrible events. But this one is different and also larger in some ways, and just because of all the people it's affected, every walk of life, and I want to say, my heart goes out to all the people that have lost jobs.
Yeah.
We're so fortunate because right now our jobs, I feel like, are really important.
Right.
And we're able every night to try to give people a good sense of what's going on from a factual standpoint with some compassion and appreciation and respect for the whole thing. But I really feel for the people that don't know how they're going to pay their bills right now.
Absolutely. And I think in the beginning, our mind, and it still is on these people, were on the patients, the people that were being treated, and the people that had come in contact with these people, and our hearts were really going out to those folks. And now we've kind of done a 180, and while those people are still front and center on our minds, it has shifted to so many people that didn't think they were going to be affected by this, have been completely upended in their entire world. There are just so many people, and we keep getting questions, and we try to answer some of them, but a lot of them, quite frankly, Sam, we don't know the answers to ourselves. We're in a business where we're supposed to find answers, but every day, every moment is changing, that we can't always get those for folks.
I've never seen a story like this, Amber, where almost on an hourly basis, certainly every day, major headlines, whether it's national or local, are things that we're having to take in and try to get to people. And it's just amazing how fast this has happened. It's like whiplash. Sometimes I wonder, is this a nightmare?
Yeah.
I mean, I really do, because I feel for so many people that are really struggling right now. And so we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, and in some ways, when this first happened on March 6th, it came on a Friday afternoon when we were actually trying to do a telethon, because at that time, the biggest news story was Nashville and Middle Tennessee being hit by a tornado, a devastating, deadly tornado. And we were trying to find a way for us here in Central Kentucky to help a city that most of us love. And literally in the course of about 15 minutes, when we got word that the governor was going to have a news conference at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which doesn't really happen on a Friday afternoon around here, our world just completely, just took off. And I don't think any of us have been able to catch up since that moment.
And usually we have the weekend off, but I don't know about you. I find myself watching the governor's news conferences on Saturday and Sunday, trying to stay abreast of what's going on. And I try to get a little bit of a break occasionally and go to the grocery store. But even then, you're faced with shelves that are empty, and you're a reminder of what's going on. So, I'm not trying to say that our jobs are any heavier or any different in some ways from other people who've lost their jobs or struggling to keep a business afloat or treating patients. Those are people in the trenches that I supremely respect and admire. Especially, can you imagine the healthcare workers that have families and yet their job is to be right there in the middle of this? That's amazing.
Yeah, and then potentially to come home to your family and not know really what you have been around at all. One of the things that, when this hit, obviously the very first case was in Harrison County. And it was like a gut punch because, and I know this has kind of been said, but, Harrison County wants to be known for a lot of things to be first in it. This was not something that they ever wanted to be first in. And so I was really taken back the first night that we were talking about this because I thought, how in the world, did this land in Harrison County? And we have since had several more cases. And thankfully, the young woman that was the first case is now fully recovered and back at home with her family. And so kudos to her and all the people that took care of her. But it's been really interesting because sometimes when we do this, we've lived in this area for so long that you always wonder when the news is going to kind of hit close to home for you.
And for you, it hit home in a couple of different big ways. And you've talked about that some, but I think it's worth talking about here because from a personal standpoint, wow, you really this really hits you in the face.
It does. I mean, my mom and dad are still there. My dad is what we would consider one of these compromised individuals in the sense that my dad has battled lung cancer for the last 5 years now. So I've completely banned him from leaving the house in a way. And my mom is having to be extra careful. But also my husband goes to work in Cynthiana every single day at 3 a.m. And so that has also been a concern. And so when I was doing my live shots from there a week ago on Monday, I remember right before we went live and you were getting ready to toss me, I kind of just looked over my shoulder to just to look back, and I saw the Harrison Memorial Hospital sign and I thought, wow, I was born in this hospital. And, here I am back here reporting on something that I could have never, ever imagined. But I just want to say, as you said, kudos to the people that are on the first line or on the first in the trenches and the front lines on this, because there were so many people that I think we forget when you talk about some 50-some folks initially had to go into self-isolation after coming in contact with these first patients. And, in a small community, that really hits home when you have 50 people and then they have someone else at home with them. So I say kudos to them. I think right now everyone's doing the best that they can. And certainly, again, Harrison County didn't want to be the first, but they became a leader for other communities to look for advice or what did you do right? What did you do wrong? How do we do this better? So kudos to them for that, for sure. But it's been interesting, especially
how it's
that.
changed things here. And I'm not trying at all to say that we have a rough road because we don't compare to most people. But when we come to work now, it's a whole different environment. And if some of the people listening were to come here, able to come here, but they're not allowed now, most of the people in this station are at home.
Yeah, a newsroom is a hustling, bustling, crazy, I say it's organized chaos. And so we have really taken every measure where normally we're all together and we're all talking about things that are going on. It's constant communication, and we've really just busted that up. And so we have people working from home. Tonight when we're recording this, our 6 and 11 producer is at home working by herself. We have moved heaven and earth to move people away from one another, put them in separate rooms all over our building. And so that's been really interesting for us. So I think when people watch us out there, they don't really always think about that. And then our reporters in the field, they are the folks that are coming in contact with so many different people. So they're working remotely. They're working from their cars, many of them. They're working from parking lots, or, maybe if they get the chance to go home, they might get to be at home. But their job has really been uprooted as well in terms of just they can't come back in the building now.
We've really tried to give an example of social distancing. So when people watch the news now, previously, just a month ago, Chris Bailey and me and you and Brian Milam would all work within a foot of each other, basically on the anchor desk. And now you're about, 10 or 15 feet away?
We doubled our distance.
Chris is 10 or 15 feet away from me. And so we've done that. And it's kind of an odd thing, but strangely enough, I've gotten a little bit used to it. And then every day, Amber and I work the second shift, which is basically like a 2 to midnight kind of shift, and that doesn't count the other hours we work before and after. But anyway, now it's become a regular thing that at 5 o'clock we interrupt our newscast and we go live to the governor, and that's, I feel so good about what we're trying to do from a journalism standpoint here with local journalism. Is we're trying to bring people the story and right from the governor's mouth. We don't cut out of it. We take every bit of it, and sometimes it's an hour plus that he's briefing the state.
And, in the beginning, there were 2 of those newsers a day. So we would blow out whatever we had going on for those. And however you feel politically across the spectrum, that's how you feel. But for us, it is information. And in every one of those newsers, every single day, we've gotten new information, unfortunately, about more cases. Sadly, today we got news of our second death in this state, but also we've gotten critical mandates or critical recommendations for all of us as Kentuckians from the governor of how we're going to get through this together. And so it really has been something where we're not just taking it to take it. I mean, there's been vital information that we can get out to you. So we know some of you may not agree with that always, but that's what we're going to be here to do for sure. Something else I want to talk about that's been really nice to see is that there's been so much talk about runs on the grocery stores, and we know that there's no toilet paper to be found, but there's also a lot of good going on out there. And this, I saw this start first in Harrison County when their school got canceled, and now we have all of the school districts across the state out. But seeing these buses go out and take these lunches to kiddos all over the state just to make sure that they get fed has been really heartwarming to see. And we've been flooded with pictures and videos of this happening all over.
The governor's talked about Team Kentucky, and I don't think that's a trite thing. I think that I think he's on to something, whether you're a Republican or independent or Democrat, because we're all in this together. Everybody you come across, we're in this together. When I went over to Central Bank the other day to interview Luther Deaton, the president of the bank, I couldn't shake hands. I couldn't hug like I normally would, and I had to respect their space, but still we needed to get the story. So there's definitely that sense now of understanding our place in this world with our neighbor and our coworker like you and me, and it's before we were so into the thing sitting in front of me, the phone here, and now a lot of this is you got to think about your fellow man and woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what you're saying with the buses.
Sure. And I know a lot of people are frustrated that they can't go do their favorite things right now. And I always just keep thinking this is a moment in time. It is a small moment in time, and it will come. If we do the things that we're supposed to do, it will come. But I've also enjoyed seeing a lot of people just enjoy family time at home because we can't be on maybe our phones all the time, or we can't be on the tablets all the time. So I've seen a lot of board game playing and some puzzles, and I just think that's amazing, And I know for me personally, it's kind of forced me to slow down because we kind of have crazy schedules where our day in the morning isn't always ours because maybe there's other work things or we're just going and doing. And so it's kind of been nice to say, no, you can't go anywhere.
I think everybody has to kind of find their own stress relievers. So I'm a cleaner. So the other day I got out the vacuum, and we have a dog that sheds, Odie. And I just started vacuuming for like 30 minutes the area where he is because it was underneath the pillows and everything. And that was just my way and then I took him for a walk. It was just my way to release some stress and just kind of get away from this for a minute. And I think it can be as simple as that.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. And you should know, everyone out there, that probably Sam's seat where he sits for the evening news is probably the cleanest in this building because he is a cleaner. So, but there's also good. Today in the neighborhood, I saw so many people that I'd never see out in the neighborhood just walking the dogs, the kids constantly. Sure. So I'm hoping that maybe Chris Bailey will be able to make sure that we have some better weather so that if we are cooped up longer with this, and we don't know how much longer any of this is going to go on, but today was the first day of spring when we're recording this, so maybe spring will finally show up and we can get out more.
Yeah, and I think it's great that they're re-showing some of the big basketball games, college basketball games, and on the ride home from dinner tonight, I heard Tom Leach calling, I think it was the championship game maybe from 2012 with the Kentucky Wildcats, and just to hear that familiar voice and that, all of a sudden I had a new appreciation because we were there in New Orleans when that happened, and it gives me chills now even thinking about it. It brought me back to that moment and go, wow, that really was special, and I missed that, but life does go on.
Absolutely. And we are going to have more on this weekend as well. So you're going to get your basketball fix.
Yeah.
It might not just be the way that you were intending to get your basketball fix in March, but it is going to be there. But we just wanted to pop in today. I just want to use Uniquely Kentucky this week just to let you know that we may be there every single day giving you the information that you need to know, but I want you to know that we care about the people that are on the other side of that television. Wherever you are, whoever you are, we hope that we can bring you a sense of information, but a sense of compassion, because I can say personally, and I know Sam feels this way, we go home at night and I think about a lot of strangers, people that I don't know, but I do say a lot of prayers for a lot of people that I don't know because of the job that we do. So,
and we'll continue to try to, sometimes we have to ask the tough questions, even of the governor. That's part of our job, and to try to find answers to this. But more than anything, to present every night to the folks at home, here's what's happening right now, here's how it affects you, and we care. And that's just not an easy word that we say. Both of us live and work and go to school and gone to school and church here and have family here and roots here. And so it's not a small thing that this is our home when this is happening.
You know, we our slogan is WKYT stands for Kentucky, and we do stand for Kentucky, but we just recently put out a promo that to me was much more than any promo we've ever put out. It's not about us, and it's about us caring for you, and we really do care for every single person. And you know, again, it doesn't matter if you've been one of these people that unfortunately is on the list of folks that now have COVID-19, or you are one of the thousands upon thousands of people that are going to be affected in an indirect way. Now, we care about you every single night when we're doing the news.
And I believe what the governor says every time. The first thing he says is, folks, we're going to get through this. And I believe that's going to happen, hopefully sooner rather than later, but it will happen.
Well, Sam, thank you for giving me some time. We've been through some crazy news times together, and those will continue to come as well. And again, we will get through this. But again, if you're out there listening, I just hope that you are staying healthy, that you're taking care of yourself, and we will get through this. And I'll be back with another edition of Uniquely Kentucky. And until then, I'll see you on the news on WKYT.